This episode is made possible by Dashlane. Secure your data from prying eyes by signing up for a free account today. For almost the entirety of human history, we've always had a bit of a thing for predicting the future. Sometimes we get pretty close, and sometimes we're way off. In this episode, we're going to look at a few of the notable examples since the early 20th century, when we really began to wonder how modern and future technology would change our lives and the world. We'll start with one topic that people still love to theorize about today, the future of cars. Back in the late 30s and 40s, cars had officially become a staple of modern society, and as a relatively new technology, people were always thinking up new ways to make them even better. In the 1930s, the predictions for the future of cars were pretty tame. Not many dreams of flying cars yet.
The development of more complete streamlining for motor cars will be the problem of engineers of tomorrow. Someday, this problem will finally be solved. Sometime in the future, the completely streamlined torpedo car may come into use. Elevated highways, wide and level, may let us go 120 miles an hour. But such a torpedo car on our streets today would be entirely impractical.
People simply expected the engineers of the future to design faster, safer, and more aerodynamic vehicles. In that regard, they were absolutely right. After the war, we saw films like this one from 1948. People were beginning to experiment more, and we got to see some unusual contraptions.
This little chariot can really run you around in circles. What's the trouble, Gary? Uh-oh, a modern Frankenstein. And here's another streamlined marvel on wheels. It only needs a pair of wings to be at home in the sky. Formidable indeed is its nose. With riveted aluminum fuselage, entry hatch, and rugged empennage, it's wasting time on the ground. But being earthbound, the monster is trundled out onto the highway to frighten other motorists. If you're looking for a 1960 model, this may well be it.
A lot of these design elements seem kind of ridiculous to us now. Incorporating airplane features and controls didn't really catch on, mostly because it was unnecessary and complicated. That being said, we have seen a few three-wheeled cars. And reverse three-wheeled car things. And some of the aesthetic elements of late 40s concept cars have snuck into modern styling. For example, this one looks a lot like a current Rolls-Royce concept. In the mid-1950s, we really began to see some sci-fi ideas take shape. Flying cars, hover cars, and of course, self-driving cars. The idea of self-driving cars isn't new, but the implementation is very different. Instead of computers manning the controls, in this film the cars of the future were imagined to be guided by magnetic strips in the road, with a bit of information from control towers and the driver.
Tower to Firebird 2, tower to Firebird 2, all traffic moving in normal pattern.
FB2 to tower. We're heading for Chicago. Please route us through. Over.
Roger, FB2. Well done, Firebird 2. You're now under automatic control. Hands-off steering.
Here we go on the high-speed safety lane. Ah, this is the life. Safe, cool, comfortable. Mind if I smoke a cigar?
As different as self-driving cars look today, they are catching on. And it looks like these predictions, while several decades off, are actually pretty accurate, at least at surface level. Besides cars, we've always been fascinated with how the people of the future might live. What will their homes look like? What amazing new technologies will they have at their disposal? What will the fashion look like? The people of the 1920s had some interesting ideas when it came to clothing.
The most famous fashion designers in the U.S. today have been asked to forecast what Eve will look like in AD 2000. One idea is a dress that can be adapted for morning, afternoon, or evening. It's the sleeves what does it. Apparently in AD 2000 we shall be having a hair-raising time. Yet another designer goes so far as to believe that skirts will disappear entirely. Shoes will have cantilever heels, and an electric belt will adapt the body to climatic changes. The lightly clad woman of tomorrow, ooh, swish, will move in an atmosphere that's scientifically kept at the right temperature. The future bride in a wedding dress of glass. What the groom will wear, apart from a worried look, isn't mentioned. A dress of aluminium, with a sash to change it for afternoon or evening, and an electric headlight to help her to find an honest man. As for him, if he matters at all, he'll be fitted with a telephone, a radio, and containers for coins, keys, and candy for cuties.
In some ways, they were right. Dresses have lost some ground to pants, shorts, and skirts, but they're still very much a part of modern clothing. And in some ways, they were hilariously wrong. Light bulb headwear? A chest-mounted phone? They were at least correct in assuming we'd have phones with us pretty much all the time. Kitchens may be the thing that's changed the least since these predictions from the 50s, but it's interesting to see what people expected, and how societal norms have changed.
Press button dream coming true for Mrs. Housewife. All sorts of wonders are hers at the push of a button, from refrigerator doors to countertops built for big gals or little gals. Don't have to lean over here, you see. What's for dinner? Consult the menus on pictures and dish up something new for a change. Hummingbird wings on toast, maybe. And look where the toaster is. A wave of the hand and presto, down comes a hidden cabinet with the dishes. Mama will feel like a fairy princess with a magic wand in a place like this. We won't be able to get her out of the kitchen, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Right now, the question before the house is, what's cooking and when do we eat?
The interesting thing about this particular film is that all of these changes are completely unnecessary, and would definitely slow you down in the kitchen. The closest thing to being accurate from this film is probably the video screen recipes. It's not something that's built into modern kitchens, but we do often use phones or tablets instead of cookbooks to find recipes. As we entered the 60s and saw the advent of computer technology, people began to really consider what these new machines could do in the future. This is the point in history where our predictions started to align more with reality, except for our weird fascination with truly useless robots. Here we see a woman ordering a giant, slow, lumbering robot to do menial tasks such as open the door or light a candle. All of these things could have been accomplished much more quickly without the robo-butler. But when you think about it, we actually do have some machines that do our bidding. They may not be 7-foot-tall abominations, but we can order them to play music, give us the weather, or change the lighting. And of course, the fascination with humanoid robots never really went away. We're still working on creating them, but we're more interested in the artificial intelligence aspect than having a mechanical servant to do our chores. Besides the nightmarish slave robots that thankfully never came to be, some predictions from the 60s ended up very close to reality. For example, this film from the early 60s explains how children will do the majority of their learning through computers.
Master James Shaw, 8 years old, student, attends formal school 2 mornings a week. Much of his education, however, is carried on in a kind of education center within the home and fed into teaching machines, which allow him to progress as rapidly as his awakening mind can absorb the audiovisual lessons.
They did guess that this would be the norm by the year 1999, so they weren't exactly right in that regard, but they were pretty close. We did have educational games and programs by then, but we didn't really start to see proper web-based online classes for another several years. This clip from 1961 shows a woman buying clothes from the comfort of her own home, while looking at pictures of it on a digital screen. Sounds pretty familiar.
Notice the dramatically shaped bodice and the gentle form of the neckline. This model comes in red, yellow.
I don't know. Do you have it in green?
Certainly. Here it is.
Yes, fine. That's it. I'll take it. Please send it out to me. Here's my credit card. Oh, and don't forget the striped pillowcases.
No, we won't.
This prediction wasn't completely accurate, as the woman is still interacting with another human on the phone, but ordering things from your own home device has become the backbone of 21st century shopping. Just 6 years after that prediction from 1961, we get this, a much more accurate batch of predictions centered around the importance of so-called home video screens, which clearly became modern desktop computers. In this film, we see a woman buying clothes again, but this time there's no human interaction required. Later, we see the husband paying for the clothes, accessing his bank account, and sending electronic letters all from the home video screen system.
Paid for by the husband at his counterpart console. All bills and transactions will be carried out electronically. A central bank computer will debit the family's account the amount of purchases and credit the department store, for example, informing the family's home computer at the same time. Father, at the touch of a button, receives an instantaneous printed copy of his budget, the amount of taxes he owes, the payments left on the car, and so forth. All documents and household records are available on the video screen for immediate reference. Also at his disposal is an electronic correspondence machine, or home post office, which allows for instant written communication between individuals anywhere in the world.
While it may not be super refined, this whole system is a very accurate representation of how we use modern computers. We shop online, pay bills and view bank statements, and send emails. As the 60s drew to a close, we started seeing more reasonable predictions, mostly because our understanding of computer technology allowed us to make more educated guesses in regards to further development. Of course, we never stopped making guesses about the future, and even today we see some truly sci-fi predictions, but that's a topic for a future video.
Now, with all these advancements in computing technology, it stands to reason that the good people of the future will need a way to protect their valuable information from digital criminals. Consider for a moment a service that secures your personal information by way of automatically generated strings of letters, numbers, and symbols, which the computer savvy call passwords. This is a scale model of the home computer of the future. With the magic of modern film, we can demonstrate how this futuristic information security service will operate. The average Joe of the future has a lot on his plate, and doesn't want to remember all his different passwords. And everyone knows one mustn't use the same password for everything. With this new service, let's call it Dashlane, he doesn't have to. The application, a word used to describe future computer programs, can be accessed on his home computer or handheld computing device, which will be commonplace in the year 2018. He can rest easy knowing that even the most sophisticated computer criminal can't steal his information, because Dashlane is locally secured, which means the passwords are only stored on his machines. If Joe Everyman is inexperienced with home computers, Dashlane takes care of his security for him, allowing even a simpleton to automatically change unsafe passwords. The program also allows users to store often used information, like credit card numbers for digital shopping, electronic mail addresses, and telephone numbers, which can be used to automatically fill in digital forms. Today's greatest minds predict that television programs and films will be widely available through entertainment services on the computers of the future. Knowing this, the secure sharing of passwords between friends and family who don't use these services will be a popular feature, allowing loved ones to catch up on season 100 of The Andy Griffith Show. Security, peace of mind, and convenience. All of these features and more will be included in the best computer programs of the future.
Now that prediction was accurate. Protect your passwords for free by downloading Dashlane today. As a special thanks for fans of Second Thought, you can get a 30-day free trial of Dashlane Premium plus 10% off your premium subscription by following the link below and using the code SECONDTHOUGHT. It's available for Mac, PC, iOS, and Android, so whether you opt for the free or premium account, I can't recommend Dashlane highly enough. So, to support the channel and secure your valuable data, check out Dashlane at the link below.